Good evening, students. This is a program based on the nested for loop, and this program is quite similar to the program which we have discussed earlier based on the nested for loop. And if you compare the both programs in the last program, we were printing the value of the j in that program, but in this program you will see that we are printing the value of I. So let's quickly understand what is the difference between the output of the both programs and what pattern the last program was giving and what pattern this program is giving us. So if you see over here, the value of I is initialized as 1 in the outer for loop, and the value of j is initialized with 1 in the inner for loop. And again, the value of j is dependent on I. So if you see the value of I is 1, then the inner for loop goes up to the 1. That is, for the value of I as 1, the inner for loop executes for the one time. And similarly, when the value of I gets incremented and reaches to 2, 3, 4 and 5, then accordingly the value of j, or you can say the inner for loop, executes for that much number of times. So in totality it basically runs for the number of times dependent on the value of I. So if you start this program, the value of I is initialized with 1, and in the second step the value of I gets checked with 5. So the condition is true, therefore the control reaches to the body of the outer for loop, and over here the value of j is initialized as 1, and the value of j and I gets compared, and since both are 1, so again the condition is true, and therefore the control reaches to the body of the inner for loop, and therefore the printf statement is executed and it prints the value of I. And if you carefully see this, you will find that this I is a counter variable which is basically responsible for the line number. So if the value of the line, or you can say the counter variable I is 1, then the value of I gets printed for that much number of time. Similarly, when the control reaches again to the inner for loop from the backside and increments the value of j as from 1 to 2, then the condition is like j less than equals to I. So the condition becomes false because the value of I is 1 and j is incremented to 2. So the condition is false, so the control does not get enter into the inner for loop body. So it reaches to the printf statement which is written outside the inner for loop but inside the for loop, or you can say the outer for loop. So the line feed, or you can say the line, gets changed for the next output statement, and after that the control reaches to the body, or you can say the outer for loop from the back side, and the value of I gets incremented once again from 1 to 2, and again I gets checked with 5. So 2 less than equals to 5, condition is again true, so control again reaches to the body of the outer for loop, and again j starts from, or you can say the inner for loop starts from 1, and again the value of j gets checked with I. So I this time becomes 2 and the value of j is 1, so the condition is true. Control reaches to the body of the inner for loop and the printf statement is executed and the value of I gets printed. So I has become 2, so 2 gets printed. Or you can say because we are printing the value of I, so I gets printed, but the the control reaches to the for loop, the inner for loop, once again from the back side, and the value of j gets incremented and it becomes 2. So again the condition is true because 2 less than equals to 2, j less than equals to I. Again the control reaches to the body of the inner for loop and again the printf statement gets executed and again the value of I gets printed. So this time if you see, the value of I, that is the line number, the counter variable, gets printed, but it is printed for 2 times, that much number of times, because j is dependent on I. Similarly, again when j gets incremented to 3, the for loop condition becomes false and the control reaches to the printf, the outer printf, which is written outside the for loop, and the new line feed is implemented and the line gets changed and control reaches to the outer for loop from the backside and the value of I gets incremented to 3. And this time the value of I becomes 3 and gets checked with 5. So again, if you see, the value of j starts from 1 and again the value of j gets checked with I, which is 3 this time. But since j starts from 1 and this loop is going to be executed for 3 times, so 3 times the value of I gets printed as 3, 3, 3. So this goes for one more time when the value of I becomes 4, and since the value of I is 4, so 4 gets printed how many times? 4 times, and this repeats for one more time when the I becomes 5 and 5 less than 5 equals to 5, again the condition is true. Again control reaches to the body of the outer for loop, which is the inner for loop, and again j starts from 1 and goes up to I, that is j starts from 1 and goes up to 5. So this is how the value of I gets printed for how many times? It gets printed for 5 times. The value of 5 gets I gets printed for how many times? 5 times. And this pattern somewhat gets printed in this program. So let us have a quick look by compiling this program or running this program onto this online compiler. You will see the output is like the value of the program is 1 for the very first time, 2 and 2, that is the value of I is 2 and it is getting printed 2 times because it is a line number 2. 3 gets printed 3 times for the third time, 4 gets printed 4 times for the fourth time, and 5 gets printed 5 times for the fifth time. So as soon as the value of I reaches 6, so the condition becomes false and the control reaches the outside from the outer for loop and it reaches to the get char get ch function, and this is how the program holds. So this is the output of the program. This is very important program from the AKTU examination point of view. So we'll discuss some more programs based on the pattern or based on the nested for loop, and one more program which is more frequently asked in the AKTU exam is called a Floyd's triangle, and we will discuss that program in the next video lecture. And I hope the things are going smoothly and you all are doing good and you all are safe and healthy at your homes. So we'll discuss this next program which is very important called Floyd's triangle, the one more pattern, and it is very important program from the examination point of view. So keep learning, keep watching the video on the YouTube or in the Google Classroom. Take care. Thank you so much.